Okay, welcome everyone. This is Lee Goldstein for 10 Minute Trades. I want to thank you for joining me. Let me know that you can hear me, please, and we'll get started. I cannot help the fact that I have a hair problem today. It is what it is, but I just want to say hello to everybody. Let you know I'm here, I'm real, and I'm alive, and I will get off the screen before it becomes too distracting. Welcome for 10 Minute Trades, and we are going to cover a great subject today. Our most important trading tool. So let's get started. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director at 10 Minute Trades. As I said, please remember all the trades we discuss or show are for educational purposes only. Okay, we trade appointment-based trading is what we call our style of trading, ABT for short. We use the NinjaTrader platform and we trade futures. When we talk about trading stocks, we are talking about the setups we use with futures to trade earnings on selected stocks. We are not trading the stocks, so don't get confused. We're not trading options. We trade futures using the NinjaTrader platform. We have a system. We have our NewsTrader software, JOBB software is what it's been called over the years. We have four elements that make up our system. Those elements would be the weekly schedule, which we call the weekly market mover. We have the DMM, the daily market mover schedules, trade room access, and our JOBB version 11 software. We're now calling it NewsTrader software. What is the weekly schedule? So it's very simple. First off, the weekly schedule is free. You can get the weekly schedule emailed to you, or you can download it from our website, but you have to go to our website, www.10minutetrades.com, and you can opt in to receive our free video, How to Find 10-Minute Trades, and we will then automatically send you the weekly schedule. The weekly schedule is great to receive whether you are a discretionary trader, whether you want to trade the news along with us. It shows you a lot of very interesting things that are going to take place in the market in the following week. First off, on the left, we have the trigger time of the event that we're trading. So in the middle, obviously, we have the day and the date and the event that we're trading. All the way to the left, we show you whether or not we have a trade room for that event and what time the trade room is going to take place. If the room has an opening time, then obviously we're going to have a trade room. And then we have this index risk DMM. The index is the instrument or instruments we're considering trading, and everything is up for grabs until we get into the trade room and make a final decision. These markets are unbelievably volatile right now because of everything that's going on in the world. And we reserve the right to make modifications at the last minute in the trade room. And that's why trade room access is critically important if you are a member of 10-Minute Trades. And we highly recommend these days that a person becomes a full member and not just receive the daily market mover subscription. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but the markets are so volatile. If you're going to take trades with real money, you might want to be a trade room member so that you get the latest updates on everything that's going on in the markets today. All right. So trade room, the trigger time, the event we're going to trade. Do you have a DMM? Is there a daily trade report for that event? Column number 3 in this little section here. And then we have notes, whether we are watching a trade. Sometimes a trade is an EDU, an educational event. Let me show you a slightly newer version of the weekly market mover so you know what I'm talking about. This is this week's weekly market mover. You notice there's a new little section just says EDU. That's an educational trade room. Sometimes there are events that we have determined are not performing well, and we know well in advance that we're not going to trade real money or with our prop account either. and we use those rooms to do education, to practice, to teach. Any of our rooms are educational and we can teach and practice, but these rooms are specifically for that purpose. If you have questions, we certainly welcome questions in any trade room, but the educational rooms, you might just get a little bit of extra time, which can help you learn how to use our systems. So the EDU rooms can be very, very useful. And then we do stream on YouTube at least 2 or 3 times a week, and we note that also on our weekly schedule. So the weekly schedule is important. It can prevent and protect you. If you're a discretionary trader and you like to trade oil, then if you look at our weekly schedule, you'll see that on Wednesdays at 10:30, the crude oil inventory report takes place. So you might not want to be in a discretionary trade right at that moment because that report might move the market and it might ruin a discretionary trade. So you can use our weekly schedule to try to help keep you safe, especially in these volatile markets. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's very, very helpful. That's our weekly schedule, affectionately called the WMM, Weekly Market Movers. Then, on many events, we have what we call the DMM, Daily Market Movers. Daily Market Movers have the name of the report that we're trading, the market that we're set up to trade for that event. Then there is a significant amount of research data, how many ticks this report has been moving over the years. The yellow line is a suggested setup that we might be using to trade. And then below the yellow line, we generally have a small journal, how the report has been doing over its previous events. It's very important to understand our system and the way that we trade. So often I get the incorrect question, what's your success percentage rate on all your reports? That is a nonsensical question for us. First off, the reason it's nonsensical is we would never recommend that you trade every single report. Every single event cannot be performing well. These are just the events we're pointing out that we have had trade setups for. We recommend trading the best performing reports. So the right question is, maybe, what are your best performing reports? Well, you're going to have to become a member to learn that. What reports are profitable? That's the question to ask. How is the U.S. jobs report trading? Is that a report that you would trade real money on and trade in your prop account? Every single report is a separate entity. You could maybe just trade twice a week and have a fantastic week. But if you trade 10 times a week, you could have a losing week. The key is to know which of the reports to trade and to stick with the best performers and or reports that offer the best opportunity for profit. Sometimes a report, it's 50-50. It wins some, it loses some, but because of the nature of the report, we may trade it all the time because it offers such a good possibility for profits. Trading has risk. Not every report's going to be a winner. That is the reality of trading. But you want to put the probabilities in your favor by trading the best of the best. Then we have our ultimate best of the best reports. If you look back at our weekly market mover, let me show you something. You'll notice there's something called family money. What is a family money trade? A family money trade is a trade that we recommend that if we were to money, we would trade their money on this event. So you notice this NOPA report. No one even heard of this NOPA report. No one even knows what it is. But for us, it's been a family money trade. Only until recently, when it started performing a little bit less profitably, did it not become a family money trade. But last month, literally like last week, we traded this NOPA report. It had the best report, best trade this event ever had. Watch this left chart. And this is why it will be back to being a family money trade again, because it's responding to the news. Our software puts orders on the chart automatically. We offer automated trading, semi-automated trading, and completely discretionary trading with the variety of different setups that we have built into our software. The NOPA Crush report is a grain report. We don't really care if it's a gold report, if it's a report that trades monkeys, I don't care. If it's an event that moves the market we're going to trade, then we recommend trading it. This is the way this report worked it was about 8, 9 days ago that we traded this. Our software puts the orders on the chart. That's what those little X's are. Those are the actual orders. What happens is the news comes out and it causes the market we're watching and trading in to explode. It moves up. I had the opportunity to move my stop into safety, and then I started expanding my target. We were trading soybean oil futures, which is no different than trading the S&P futures. They started moving up. We moved our stop to safety, and as the trade went on, it just kept moving up and moving up and moving up. I kept moving my stop. I kept moving my target. And for literally about 45 seconds, we just followed the price up, expanding our target multiple times, turning what might have been a 15 tick winner into a 30 tick winner or a 40 tick winner. That is the ultimate news trade. When you get an event that moves beautifully in one direction, allows you to move your stop into safety, and then continue trailing your stop in the direction of that trade. Okay? And that's exactly what happened in that event. It was a great, great trade, the NOPA report. Every single person in the trade room that traded that event with us made a nice amount of money. And that is the goal, to learn how to trade these events in the best way, most profitable way possible. Trade management is unquestionably one of the most difficult aspects of trading. It's easy to get filled. It's easy to make a small profit. It's easy to get a stop out and lose money. What's hard is to manage the trade and get as much profit as possible. That actually is the hardest job. I don't know anybody who's a genius at doing it. Sometimes you get great events. Sometimes you bring your stop to the right place. Other times you choke out your profit because you don't want to lose on what is now a winning trade. It is the nature of trading, and we're always working at doing a better job of trade management. It's also, if you understand again the way that we trade, we are not looking at Elliott waves or Fibonacci's or Ichimoku clouds. We're not looking at any of that. We're generally looking at the way an event behaves month after month after month, because events behave either consistently most of the time, consistently sometimes, or completely inconsistently. We want to trade and create setups for the events that are trading consistently over and over and over again. And that's the way that we trade. We do have many events that we do trade using technical indicators, but we don't use very many of them, and the ones that we use are extremely simple, and almost all of the indicators we use are free and part of the platform that we're trading in, NinjaTrader. So once again, the Daily Market Mover is a trade report Our members are emailed that report, or they can download it from our website the day before the event takes place. So they can look at the setups, they can practice the trade, they can look at the history if the DMM has a history, and they could get ready for the trade a full day before the event takes place. It's much easier if you know what to expect rather than if you come into a trade room unprepared. So we always recommend, please look at the DMM before you get to the trade room so you're prepared and you know what's going on. Now, of course, sometimes we have events that because of the way the markets are moving, we have a setup, a strategy called the magnet strategy. That's not an every day is the same exact setup. It's every day is a slightly different setup because a magnet trade is based on highs of days and low of day levels. That's one of our very, very popular trade setups. So there are discretionary setups that we have and very specific news setups as well that are more specific in the way that we trade them. Then our third element is our news trader software. It's a separate proprietary strategy or a custom strategy. It's an add-on to the NinjaTrader platform. And inside our software, we have multiple setups. We have reversal continuation trades, which have become a staple of everyday usage. Very often, news will come out, we'll trade the news, the trade will end, and then the market will give you other opportunities to take a reversal, to take a continuation. It happens all the time, so we've created a setup in our software that makes it simple and easy to take advantage of those reversals and continuations, to set up very quick scalp trades. Anything that you could think of discretionary, you can pretty much set up our software to do in not a very long amount of time. It's easy to use our software. It just takes a little bit of practice, and we're constantly going over the setups in our trade room over and over and over. Our software can automate your entry. It can automate your target and your stop. It can move your stop. We have trailing stops. Also, our software is a super ATM program. An ATM is an automated trade manager. Every very major platform, almost all of them have built into them an ATM, an automated trade manager. And what that manager does is it puts your targets on the chart when you get filled. It handles your stop placement. It manages your trade. So our software can do that as well. And then, of course, you can not interfere, but you can manage the trade manually, even if it's set up to be automatic. You can always take control over the charts with your own knowledge if the market tells you to do that. The appointment-based trading method that we use, it's a simple time-based approach to the market. We schedule our trades on specific days at specific times up to a week in advance. And all trading has risk. Appointment-based trading, news trading is no riskier than other forms of trading. The key is to use tools that keep you safe as possible while you're trading. Obviously, in these markets, there sometimes is no safety. You can be in a trade and a tweet can come across and it could move the market 300 ticks in the opposite direction of your trade. The key to being safe in moments like that, don't trade without stops in these markets. Make sure that you have defined risk on all your trades so that if you lose on a trade, it's not going to ruin your life. It's not going to blow up your account. You'll be ready to trade again as soon as you're able, as soon as the markets offer opportunity. The key is have safe setups that if you have a losing trade, you just can keep going, getting your winners to make up for your losers. So what actually triggers an appointment-based trade or a news trade? It's very simple. We have three major categories: high impact economic reports, GDP, Beige Book, FOMC statements, U.S. jobs report, University of Michigan, consumer sentiment reports. Those type of events are considered high impact economic reports. They move markets, they move gold, they move the S&P, they move the NQ. Category number 2, we're going to talk about this a little bit today. Earnings reports, big company, medium-sized company, important company earnings reports are the reports that move the markets. And we're going to give you a little bit of preview how our earnings season has been going so far. It just started in earnest last week. And then trigger category number 3, market open and close trades. We have started testing and trading in our room an end of day MNQ trade. We also have magnet trades. Magnet trades are great around market opens. And there's all sorts of different market opens. When people think of the market open, they're usually just thinking of the 9:30 regular market opening. But no, there's a 6 p.m. futures market opening every day. And there's all, except Friday, of course, and there's gold market open, 8:20 a.m. Eastern Time. The oil market open, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Some people trade the European market opens. 2 and 3 in the morning are very key times to trade those markets. So you can, as clever as you want to be looking at the markets, that's how clever your trading can be. There's more than one open, and you can take advantage of those moves with our software. Our software has range trading, which is an extremely popular way that members trade market opens and closes. Think about a range. It's a very simple concept. First, if you think about any trade, every single trade in the world, or let's say almost every single trade that anyone would take, is some form of a breakout trade. A breakout trade, generally for us, is we're putting our orders on the chart and we are bracketing our orders. Okay, it's not complicated. We put an order above the current price and we put an order below the current price. When the news comes out, the market moves heavily in one way or another, and it goes through our orders and puts us in the market. Those are bracket trades or breakout trades. But range trades, all that's different about a range trade is a range trade calculates a different entry for a breakout, and it uses time. So let's say you want to trade the market open and you're an NQ trader. Maybe you'll create a range from 9:25 until 9:30. 9:30 the market opens. The market moves significantly. When the range gets broken on the upside, you'd go long. When the range gets broken on the downside, you'd be pulled into the market short. Our software allows you to define an almost unlimited style of range trades. And I'll show you some range trades today because a lot of our earnings trades are range trades. They are a great way to trade markets, and it is built into our software so that you can design your own trades, and that's one of the things we're really here to talk about today. Knowing how to use two of the tools that I'm going to discuss today will help you to test all of the events that you want to test. In other words, let's say you get a daily market report from us that you should trade the existing home sales. Using the tools that I'm going to show you how to use today, you can test the previous reports so you could create a setup on how to trade those reports. That's the most important thing that I could teach you, how to test and look at the behavior of trades that we're going to trade, or in particular, trades that you might want to trade that we don't currently cover. The trades that we cover, we're already looking at them and testing them. So you don't have to redo our testing. You can do your own testing if you want to change your setups or use a different instrument than the one that we use. For instance, maybe You want to use the YM on a trade that we use gold on. One instrument is not the only instrument that moves on news. Very often there are multiple instruments that move on the same reports, the same events. We don't trade every single instrument. We can't test every single instrument. There's too many reports. There's too much activity in the market. So we teach you how to do your own testing, and that's very important. Most people are not willing to put the time in and do it. And let's be honest, most people don't succeed at trading or at anything because they aren't willing to put the time in. The people that are willing to put the time in almost always are the most successful at anything that they might do, whether it's practicing your piano, your trumpet, trading is no different. How do we pick trades? We back test the most important, the highest probability of events that will move. We test those events and then we set up and create setups for those events. How do we find the best events? We use various calendars that exist in the markets. They're free. For instance, we'll look at Forex Factory, www.forexfactory.com. They have a system using orange, yellow, and light and red, and different impact. Red is high impact, orange is medium, and then yellow is low impact. So you can look at the red impact first, look at those events, get the dates for those events by just clicking on the file folder, and then it shows previous dates. If it doesn't, sometimes every now and then you'll go to a file folder, and if it doesn't show you the dates, then we have another calendar that we use, because every now and then you'll look for data. It might not be there. Investing.com is calendar number 2 that we use. When you click on their folder, it generally will give you the date of the event and previous dates that that event traded right below it here. So you could see previous events. You can show those events previously for many, many, many dates. The key is the data is easily found so that you can find the dates of the previous trades so that you can set up your testing for those events. And that's very important. So we use forexfactory.com, investing.com, tradingeconomics.com, and we also use financialjuice.com. Financial Juice Pro is what we use to help us trade the news. Okay. The key to the system, like I said before, trade the best of the best events. We call them our family money trades. We find them with market playback. Okay? That's one of the most important tools that we use. You can trade the way that we trade in a cash account, in a prop account, in all, you just have to check the prop account company rules. Some of them don't allow news trading, but a lot of them do these days. Many of our members use Apex and Bullinox and Top Step and the Lilo. Those are the 4 major ones that most of our members are using. I think Top Step Trading some people are using as well. And I wanted to discuss today in this webinar 2 of the key tools that help us to find trades. One of the main tools that we've always used is NinjaTrader Playback. Built into NinjaTrader is the playback system. And I'm going to show everybody how to create a playback trade. All right, so that's tool number 1. There's actually a second tool that is maybe even more important in some ways than NinjaTrader Playback, and it is so simple to use and so convenient, and it's the Drawing Tools Ruler. I can't stress how important this tool can be for testing previous trades. Let me just give you an example. I'm going to end my slides for a moment and just go into NinjaTrader, which happens to be running. And let's just say for argument's sake, so this morning we had a trade. We have a setup that we love, and it's called the trap trade. Even with the market moving against us, because here's the thing, the trap trade is a trade that we expect the market to reverse, but we don't expect the market to move so much like this that it might stop us out of our trap trade. Let me show you what happened on this natural gas trade, because the trap trade is one of the setups that we use in these volatile markets, because the trap trades in these volatile markets most of the time are better than the breakouts. Ironically, today, the natural gas trade, it just happened to be a better breakout. But what's really fascinating about the whole situation is both setups worked, but you had to have your wits about you, because what happened was, watch. The idea of the trap trade is very simple. What we're going to do is put two orders on the chart, above the current price, the orange arrow, and below the current price. The news is going to come out, and it's going to push the natural gas market up or down through our orders. Well, this morning we were trading the trap trade. And I'm just looking, hang on a second, because I want to get to the right place. Hang on. All right, give me half a second, because I want to show you the right video. So give me one more second. I know what was throwing me, I was looking at a trade that wasn't being traded live, and I made a little bit of a mistake here, so bear with me. I want to make sure I can show you the right setup. So give me half a second. Here we go. Okay. Let me show you the right trade. Same setup, just a different day. Here we are. All right. Trading in our prop account, natural gas. Put our orders on the chart, and you'll see it in a second. Here we go. All right, so we're getting ready. Natural gas, we're going to put two orders above the current price, two orders below the current price. And what's going to happen is our orders, what happens is initially, the price is going to push down and pop up, making it look like we have an immediate winning trade. But the news went very, very positive, very large build of storage. Very large, 20 billion cubic feet more than expected, which almost always creates a move to the downside. And that's what happened in natural gas today. Here's the actual trade. Our orders are on the chart. We saw in the news it was 20 billion cubic feet. Usually when natural gas has 2 billion cubic feet of a difference between what's expected and what happens, it creates a big move. I felt almost 100% we were going to get stopped out of this trade. But I also decided I'm going to take a little bit of extra risk, because this downside move is getting tired. I increased my stop so I wouldn't get taken out of the trade on the initial spike. So watch, I'm going to move my stop. I'm going to take more risk. I'm in a prop account trading this. I didn't take all that much risk. I just wanted to give that downward move a chance to get slow and change direction, because almost always natural gas and the oil market will change direction after the news. And we were patient. I did shrink my orders, because now my goal is saving this trade from being a disaster. It does change direction. Ultimately, it gave me the opportunity to get out of the trade with a small profit. The trap trade and the breakout worked. Here we go. Took me out of the trade, small profit, 7 minutes is what it took. The irony of ironies in that trade is it wound up, even with that news being so negative for price, it reversed almost to the top of where it started. We could have stayed in the trade for 13 or 14 minutes and had a very significant profit. I truly felt that because of the news, we would not get that big of a reversal. Those are the things you don't know. Those are the things you have no control over. Those are the elements of trading that you just learn. Sometimes you'll be very, 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 very patient and you'll get a very big winner. Sometimes you'll be impatient and you'll get a small winner. Sometimes you'll use the results of the news, and those results will cause the profit to be smaller than it might have been had you just waited patiently for no reason, just because you wanted to. There was no way to know for sure that this reversal would work. You can use the squeeze indicator, all right? You can use indicators. It's still not a guarantee. Indicators can change direction in a second. This, ironically, was a great, phenomenal reversal. The point is, the trap trade in these volatile markets is a very good tool to use, and it is an excellent trade to take in this extreme volatility. The key, though, of what I was going to explain is the tool that lets you test this for the next time. Because now we've had a couple of trades on natural gas that if we look at, let me see if I can find the current DMM. I filed it before this report, which was a mistake, but here it is. Here's our daily trade report on natural gas. And on this report, we have some information that's very important. It has the behavior of the last 6 events. And if you notice, 4 of them were winners. Now, if you do a deep dive, like we understand how to do on this data, that data, while it shows us breakout trades are working, it also shows us the trap trades are working. 41 tick reversal, 40 tick reversal, 2 weeks, 32 ticks reversal 3 weeks ago, Nick fill and reversal 4 weeks ago. Every single trade had notations of a reversal. That means a spike and a reversal has a trap trade possibility. The way that you determine whether a trap trade can work or not is you take the ruler, click on it, click the word ruler, click the drawing tool, not the ruler, click the ruler, click the top of the candle, click the bottom of the candle. That was a 62 tick move. It's not nearly as big as what it really looks like. Okay, without knowing how many ticks that was, you'd say to yourself, wow, that's a 500 tick move. 62 ticks means that we can create a zone of safety for our trap trades. The key is, if you go back week after week for 8 weeks, for instance, or 6 weeks, for instance, and use the ruler to check the news spike, okay? We know which candle is the news spike. It's the first candle on a 1-minute chart after 10:30, okay? You just go to the drawing tool, click on the ruler, click the top of the candle, click the bottom of the candle, and that shows you the amount of your move on that candle. The Y value, 62 ticks. Put that in your spreadsheet or whatever file you're using, and you now have that weekly spike. So if that week is 62 ticks, and the next week is 47 ticks, and the next week is 8 ticks, and the next week is 80 ticks, and the next week is 500 ticks, you're looking at an inconsistent trade. But if you have a setup where you have 40 ticks, 60 ticks, 50 ticks, 38 ticks, 29 ticks, 50 ticks, you have more consistency. You can set up your tiers, your orders, so that the spike rarely stops you out and you could then take advantage of the reversals. So the ruler lets you set up your trap trades. The ruler and the drawing tool also lets you set up a breakout trade. You can use the same candle, right, your trade candle, to get the amount of ticks. If they're all moving in one direction and there's a minimal reversal, then you're going to look at using a different setup. You're going to look at using a breakout setup, which is a setup we use for a trade in one direction. The key is the drawing tool. The ruler is so easy to use. Just look for previous dates on an event, calculate how much it moved, notate it, keep track, and then you've got your numbers so that you can create a setup based on the spike. The spike is the key that we use to calculate our setups, but you're also looking at a few minutes after the spike to see how much movement there was in a continuation, or if it's an event that regularly reverses. That's one major tool that we use to set up our trades, okay? The second major tool we use is market playback. NinjaTrader has built into it market playback. The way you use market playback is you go to connections and you disconnect all your live connections, whether it's cash, prop accounts, they all get disconnected. Let's say you want to replay today's natural gas trade. What market playback does, it allows you to replay a trade as if you were there at the time of the trade. So you just go to tools, you go to historical data. The first thing you're going to do is download the data for the event you want to replay. So I get market replay data. Today's date is 4/24. I put the date on 4/24. The natural gas contract that we're trading today is NG 625. I put that in there and I click download. And now I've got the data I need to replay the trade. You need to be either connected to your live servers or disconnected from all servers to download replay data. You cannot be connected to the replay server or the playback server. You can't download the data when you're connected to the playback server. It's just the way it is. Now I'm going to connect to the playback server because I've got my data. I'm going to press continue. And in a moment, we're going to get our little tape recorder. It's like a VCR, okay? You want to make sure that your chart is on the instrument you're trading for the trade that you're testing. And we're trading and testing today's natural gas trade. These two boxes must be set to the date of the trade, April 24th, 2025. Both boxes are set the same. And then in this blank space, I'm going to right click the blank space. Go to will become active. I'm going to put the time of the trade in, but about 10 seconds before the actual event takes place. So it's a 10:30 trade. So I'm going to put time in of 10, 29, and 50 seconds. 10 seconds before the event. And I'm going to OK it. All right. It's going to take a second. Now it gives me my replay data or the playback data. We are now in the natural gas market as if it was 10:30 this morning. So I've got a couple of things that I can check. Over here on the right, on the NinjaTrader Chart Trader, you have the ask and the bid. There has to be numbers in that area. If it's 00, it means that your playback data did not download properly and you just want to download it again, okay? If I had to download it again, I would go to my connections and disconnect the playback server so I can download the playback data. That's the one thing you have to remember. So we have our data. Everything looks good. Every now and then, the chart will look weird when you get ready to do a playback. It's like the data didn't download properly. Right-click the chart and just click Reload All Historical Data. And it will almost always fix a weird looking chart when the data just didn't get downloaded properly. If not, you just re-download the data. So now we are set to do a replay. I now want to use our software to get our trade set up. So I have a natural gas trade set up. I'm going to right click on the chart, click on strategies, click our news trader setup. Actually, for this trade, I'm going to click the trap trade today. Okay. And we had what we call tiers. Those are our orders. Let's say, for argument's sake, we had ticks of 20 on our order 1 and 40 on tier 2. And we had a stop of 25 ticks. Position size 1 is a 1. That means we're going to have one contract for tier number 1, order number 1. Position size 2 is also a 1. That means we have one contract on our second position. And we need to activate the trade at a certain time. The event is at 10:30. We're going to put our orders on the chart for this particular trade, 10:29.55. This is what our testing has shown, that we want to put our orders on the chart 5 seconds before the event. So to recap our setup, it's very simple. One position, one contract at position 1, one contract at position 2. Put our orders on the chart, activate, 10:29.55. Our stop is 25. Order or tier 1 is 20. Order or tier 2 is 40 ticks. I like to label every trade, especially when we trade more than one setup on more than one on the same chart. So I'm going to call this trap NG for natural gas. Then I'm going to choose the account I'm trading it in. For now, this is playback. We're playing this back, so it's in our playback account. I'm going to apply it and OK it. You'll notice that up in the NinjaTrader control panel, we now have Trap NG and a blank box that we want to click. We want to press it to turn on the trade. I've now turned on the trade, and I can get ready to replay it. If you have no data on the chart for whatever reason, just press the F. If something you did caused that data to disappear, just press the F. Also, I'm going to just re-enter my time of the trade because for whatever reason it went back to midnight. 10:29.50, right? 10:29.50 because this is a 10:30 event and I want my charts to be 10 seconds before the news because my orders are going on this chart. They're going into the trade 5 seconds before the news. So right now I am 10 seconds before the news. I press play on the little tape recorder and now the market's going to start moving. My orders are going to show up. I'm going to shrink it down so I could see them all. Here's my orders. Now, to really do a perfect replay, you might even want to bring the news back so you could see the news report. So you could get your Forex Factory, right? Get your forexfactory.com when you're doing a playback so that you could see what the news was for the event, or at least maybe you want to look at it. So we're already on Thursday. The natural gas storage, they were expecting 69 billion cubic feet in build of inventory, and there was 88. Remember what I said? 88 billion is so much more than the market expected. It caused this big drop in the price of natural gas. I'm going to press play to continue the trade. That drop filled us long because we're trading a trap trade. It's a reversal. When the market goes down, we go long. When the market goes up, we go short. So in this market, we went long. It filled both our orders, and I'm moving my stop out of the way because I saw a gigantic news result And I want to give this market a chance to change direction because I believe it will change direction because the natural gas report almost always does. I'm going to speed this up because we're in a webinar. I'm going to make sure we are now reversing. I'm speeding it up even more just because we're in a webinar. I combined my orders because I thought this trade had failed and I really just wanted to get out with a small profit. So I moved my orders close to the entry price, waited for that reversal to take place even more. It did. I did not know it would keep reversing and I would have had an opportunity for even more profit. That's the fun of news trading. But look, it's not easy. It then pulled back again before it went back on its merry way back up. Maybe you would have taken yourself out of the trade on those two candles. They pulled back pretty significantly. You don't know it's going to keep going back up and up and up. That's trade management. That's maybe finding the best indicators to help you after the news takes place. We love the squeeze, okay? We love tick strike from Financial Juice. That is not a free indicator, but the squeeze, you can find momentum squeezes on the internet for NinjaTrader. These are tools that we teach you how to use so that you can test your own trades. So using the ruler, using market replay, do you now see that you can design your own trades? You don't have to trade only the trades we trade. Maybe you want to trade something, for instance, called wholesale inventories or retail inventories, events that we don't trade. These tools will allow you to do it, all right? So that's why I really feel that these are the most important tools that we have available to us. Now, before I end this webinar, everybody is always asking, how's earnings season going for you? Earnings season started about 2.5 weeks ago. The truth is, we've reached a point where it's almost that earnings season never ends. One of the goals that I have, and it has taken a long time to develop all of these fantastic earnings trades. It's taken years for us to develop this. I want to find every week to be earnings week. And we're almost there. We almost have an earnings trade. You know, instead of it just being quarterly, there's many companies. It's not, but the point is it's not totally up to us. It's up to, are there enough companies releasing earnings during what we call the earnings trades, earnings season off season. You know, there's a month of earnings season where there's hundreds of earnings trades. Then they slow down. Then you get your Nvidias, you get your retailers, you get some of the stragglers. But it does seem that as time goes on, there's more and more companies that release not in the dead center of earnings season. So we're finding more and more earnings trades that we never used to have before. Anyway, how has earnings season been going? We had a horrible Netflix trade, but I want to be truthful. At the beginning of that trade room, I told everybody that was going to trade Netflix, this has the potential to blow up your prop account. This is one of the worst earnings trades. They release their earnings exactly at 4 p.m. now. For whatever reason, Netflix has started releasing their earnings at the worst possible time. 4 p.m. in 1 second is almost impossible to come up with a trade setup, especially in these volatile markets, because the market's closing and you have these random volatile moves. So it's almost impossible to trade Netflix. So Netflix wasn't a good trade, but we told everyone, don't trade it. If you're going to trade it, know that the risk is astronomical. So Netflix wasn't that great. It'd be a decent earnings trade. It was never great, to be honest. It was never a great one. And then we had Tesla. Tesla, we have a rule in the room. Don't try to guess which way the news is going to move the market. Anytime you try to guess, it'll always go the opposite way. Well, I actually got Tesla right. I knew the market, or I felt very strongly the market would be a short. It's just that the market didn't really explode on Tesla earnings. It was a another crazy volatile day. And there wasn't that huge of a move at the exact moment that the earnings were released, which is when we trade most of our earnings trades and most of our news trades. But I really felt it was going to be a short. It was a short. The market melted down from 4 o'clock to about 4:15. Also, Tesla was 4 minutes late. They have historically not been a very consistent earnings trade. Historically, never one of our most profitable earnings trades. And we had a no trade. In the room, I did not take a trade on Tesla. So it was nothing gained, nothing lost, just more knowledge about the way that Tesla releases their earnings. But then we had a whole bunch of other nice earnings trades. Let me show you a couple of them because that's what I promised I would do. I love getting up early in the morning and trading earnings trades. One of the most interesting ones we had this week was Boeing. So Boeing has a history of releasing their earnings every quarter at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock came along yesterday or the day before, whenever the heck it was. No earnings, nothing going on. Boeing also had a little bit of a history releasing their earnings at 7:30. So we took a shot. We took our 7 o'clock setup. We set it up for 7:30. Anybody that took that trade with us was able to grab a successful Boeing trade at 7:30. It traded in April at 7:30, and it was a really good move. How in heaven's name Boeing can ever trade positively is beyond me. It's a company that's not profitable at the moment in terms of quarter after quarter. It's not like they're losing money all the time, but as of late, they have not had good earnings trades. They've had a lot of problems with crashing jets, with, getting caught lying to the government. This is not a great company when it comes to consumer friendly. I don't want to be lied to about the quality of a MAX jet when they know information. So I'm always expecting Boeing to be negative, especially with the tariff news saying that China wasn't even going to take their deliveries of their orders for the next set of Boeing planes. Anyway, but we're not trading a direction. We're trading a setup. If it goes up, we're going to trade it long. If it goes down, we're going to trade it down short. Well, Boeing came out with their earnings at 7:30. We took a shot at 7:30. Here's the trade. We traded the range trade. Remember I told you we were going to set up a range trade. A range trade, it started 30 seconds before 7:30. It calculates movement for 30 seconds and it puts our orders a certain number of ticks above the range, a certain number of ticks below the range. Boeing's earnings came out. They wound up exploding to the upside, and anyone that took the trade with me had a profitable Boeing's earning trade. So Boeing was a very nice earning trade. Procter & Gamble traded it this morning. Procter & Gamble in general, not one of my favorite earnings trades, but it has a history of being decent, so we trade it. This morning, it was tricky. It filled short. It looked like the trade might not work, but you just had to be patient, which I'm so often not patient. We stayed in, but I was worried and said some negative things about the quality of the trade. I even started shrinking my first target because I really thought the trade was going to fail. Then I noticed, wait a minute, it's starting to go in our direction. I'm going to move my target bigger before it's too late, trail my stop, and we were able to save that Procter & Gamble trade and make a decent profit on it. A couple of $100, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's always nice to have a profitable early morning earnings trade. So that was a nice winner. 3M. Let's see what happened on 3M. Let's take a look. 3M we traded a couple of days ago. 3M was 7 o'clock if I remember, or 6:40 maybe. Let's see. 6:35. I don't even remember what time it was. Kimberly-Clark we looked at. Give me a second. Let me find the right moment. We were looking at Northrop Grumman. We look at a lot of different events. 3M looks like it was 7 o'clock. Let's see if I'm right. We have a range trade for 3M. I'm looking for my orders. Hang on. Let me find this trade. Let me get the right time. So 3M was earlier than I thought. It was a little bit of a profit. There it is. 6:30 was 3M. It burst above the range. Let's see. Right now I'm waiting for the earnings to come out. They were late. All right. So this is one that was not a great trade because they weren't on time. So 3M really didn't trade it. All right. And I forgot. We've had so many trades already. So if you go back, and sometimes this is not unusual with earnings, sometimes a company will not do what they say they're going to do and release it at 6:30. They didn't release it. We canceled the trade. No win, no loss. That happens. It happens plenty of times. One of my favorite earnings trades, United Health. Everybody knows this is a company, they've been hacked. They don't protect our data. Their CEO was murdered. It happens to be one of our absolute favorite earnings trades, one of the best movers. It's a family money trade. The price exploded to the downside, instantly hit all of our targets for mega hundreds of dollars in profits for anybody that traded with us. We did not know the earnings were going to be so negative. I honestly made a mistaken judgment by not using gigantic targets. I should have known, very honestly, in these volatile markets with a company like United Health, instead of making $400 or just a little bit under, it would have been possible to make $1,000 on that trade because it just kept moving the market down. Minute after minute after minute. Look at this. It had a little bit of a retrace there, but it just kept going and going and going. Eventually, it created a magnet trade. A magnet trade is a low of the day test that acts like a magnet. The low of the day is a level. It acts like a magnet. It pulls price to it. And that United Health trade, it just kept going and going to the downside. Monster move. As it was, everyone in our trade room had a great profit, but the possibility was there for significant moves. Next time, no matter what, we'll use bigger targets just because United Health has that possibility. Let me show you one more. IBM we traded yesterday. IBM is actually, and we realized this, I should have realized it long ago, it's better on the YM than it is on the NQ. And funny thing is yesterday, by accident, I had set up a whole bunch of different setups. No excuses. I forgot to turn my chart on live prop trading for the NQ. My YM was set to trade properly. The NQ on YM actually looked like it wasn't going to move. And I canceled my NQ. The YM, I stayed in, and anyone that traded the YM with us on IBM had a very nice profit. It filled and looked like a better behaving trade that it didn't give us the reason to cancel. The NQ just didn't look like it was responding initially to IBM's earnings, but it was almost as if the stock had a secondary move and pushed up after the initial failed move because the NQ did have a working breakout that would, if you just kept your trade on, it would have been a nice profit. The YM was a nice profit, hit our first target, allowed us to trail a little bit, and then it did pull back, but we already had a decent profit. So IBM was another, and IBM has been a profitable trade when we trade it. Usually IBM trades with much bigger news, like Amazon or Intel or something that overshadows IBM. When it trades by itself, we most often have a profitable trade for IBM. You can see I was able to trail my stop, and then it does pull back and take me out, but we did have a nice profit. So how has earnings season been going? It's been going very nicely. Earnings season is one of our favorite times to trade, and it's not too late to join with us and capture the best and most exciting earnings trades. Next week, Amazon, Apple, Meta. Let me just give you a quick view. One of our members recently trading Amazon, $920 profit in his prop account. Another recent, the most recent Apple trade on earnings. Let me just show you that because it was a winner. $800. Apple. When Apple is trading well with earnings, it's one of our absolute most favorite. It's easy to trade. It's always at the same time of day, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, on time, always, year after year after year. Sometimes you get a whipsaw with Apple and you get stopped, but when it's going good, you get a big burst. That was an instant $800 trade. Apple seems to be trading great again. It's been two nice winners in a row. Looking forward to Apple. And then Amazon and Meta, fantastic trading reports almost always. Year after year, Facebook Meta has been a winner. That was a $1,300 instant winner in 2022 of February. But I'm telling you, I can't remember the last stop out on Meta or Facebook. It's been a great trade. It's a family money trade. This is a good time, a fantastic time to join with us. And here's the deal. You can learn all the ins and outs of appointment-based trading, $20.25. We have a 30-day trial. It auto-renews $97 a month. You'll learn about all of the things that we talked about today, plus more and more about our software, more about the daily market movers. Plan your trades a day in advance. Over $1,100 worth of value in the daily market movers. Our Pro Trade Room subscription, come into the trade room every day with us to go over the setups, to trade these trades, to learn how to use the software, learn how to test your own trades, all the things we discussed in the webinar. Learn about setting up the trap trade. Learn about why the reversal trades are better in these volatile markets. Thousands of dollars of value. Don't forget, you can trade the way that we trade in prop accounts. Just make sure you choose the right accounts. Everything is included in the trial. Trading earnings with futures, family money trades, breakouts, our magnet trades, range trades. We teach you about the news reports. Everything is included. www.gopro25.com. $20.25 to take a 30-day trial. Software is included, everything. You don't need anything. The daily market movers, the weekly schedule, access to our website, video tutorials, trade room access, www.gopro25.com. This expires, okay, Sunday at midnight. And this is going to be the last trial for quite a while because we have a challenge coming up. Trials are over, okay? Expires Sunday at midnight, www.gopro25.com. All right, everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining with us. This is a fantastic time to become a member of 10 Minute Trades. The markets are volatile. We have a ton of setups that let you take advantage of this volatility and trade very, very profitably and very, very safely. You just have to test and test so you know the best setups to put on these markets. www.gopro25.com expires Sunday at midnight. Thanks everyone for joining me, and I'll see you soon in the trade room. Take care, everyone.